The first topic I wanted to get your boys' opinions on is Erik Ten Hag. Big stories circulating today that no matter what happens in the FA Cup final, he will be dismissed this forthcoming summer. I don't know if that's a massive surprise to anybody at all, but after watching Man United in the FA Cup semi-final, are you surprised to see these stories a couple of days later?
No, I'm not surprised. No. I'm not surprised at all. And I actually called it. I think that it would not surprise me if it's announced that he's leaving at the end of the season before the final even took place. Like a generic sort of statement that's put out, like at the end, after the FA Cup final, Erik Ten Hag will leave Manchester United. The club and everyone wishes him all the best for the final. You know what I mean? And we're all pulling together for the final. It wouldn't surprise me if they release some sort of statement like that. Yeah, because for me, it's just, you know, what's happening is just shocking. I mean, you guys should be celebrating that you're in another FA Cup final. You won the game. Now, some people would just focus on the fact that you won, and at the end of the day, a win's a win. But when you're 3-0 up against Championship side, Coventry, and the way that Coventry come back and played, and, you know, very unlucky in the end not to go through, you know, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the football club, man. And listen, everything, in my opinion, is top down. Now, for that particular game, I think you have to look at the players. I think the way the players handled themselves on the pitch was shocking. But ultimately, it's another game which United fans are embarrassed, and the manager has to take the responsibility. It's always been that way. You know what I mean? The managers ultimately, you know, are responsible for what goes on the football pitch. And like I say, some people are not bothered. Some people are like, we got to a final, don't care how we got there. But you've got to look at that. I mean, 3-0 up and to see what happened. I mean, on another day, you guys could have been out. You know, you went through on penalties. It's not like you went through any other way. You went through on pens, like the luckiest way. So I just think, like, he's had his time. He's not demonstrated to me, yeah, as a football fan, that he is capable of managing a club like Manchester United. He's not shown to me any of the fundamental things that you'd want to see from him, i.e. the playing style. The playing style's still not there. It's 2 years into the play. He has fallouts with players, yeah. You know, it's just poor. Everything about it poor. His talent ID sucks. His transfers have been shocking. He's wasted the best part of 300 million quid. You know what I mean? At Man United, that's Man United's money that he's spent and wasted. It's just shocking. So I think it is time for him to go. Wouldn't surprise me if they announced it before the FA Cup final. I think he'd still take charge of that game. But yeah, I think it's time. And these new guys that are coming in, man. I said this at the time. These guys are not messing around. Do you know what I mean? This Jim Ratcliffe guy, yeah, he knows what he's doing. You know, he knows what he's doing because he's appointed everyone that knows what they're doing. He's got the guy from City. It looks like you're getting the guy from Newcastle, I think it is. He's got a couple of other people in there. He's not coming in doing a Todd Bowley, mate, at Chelsea, going, oh, I know what's best. I'm a billionaire and I've made it in business, so automatically I'll know how to run a football club. No. He knows that that's not how to run a football club. He's aware, and this is what, for me, the smartest people do. They recognize when there's smarter people available to do a job, and that's what he's doing. He's getting people in, and these people are no more. You know what I mean? Omar Barada, this guy from Newcastle, Wilcox, these guys will know that Ten Hag is massively disappointed. And I do not personally believe that they're looking at him thinking he has got the ability to manage this team. So I think he's going to get fired. Now, who you get in, that's the next question, a very difficult question. But I would be shocked to see Ten Hag. And I think he's arrogant as well. I think he's an arrogant man. He's a very arrogant man. I think he should have humbled himself when he come to Man United. It was a tough task anyway. And he come in, giving it the big in. You know what I mean? Aries could give it to an end. And then he said some other stuff. And the way he handled the Ronaldo situation and then the Sancho situation, like, I just think he thinks he's the big I am. And I just think he needed to just humble himself a little bit. He didn't have the authority. Like, if Simeone had done that, fairs. If Zidane had done that, fairs. If Mourinho had done it, fairs. These guys have earned it through what they've done in the game. Ten Hag's not done anything to warrant some of the stuff that he's said and done. So, yeah, he's gone, man.
What do you reckon, Dad?
Listen, you have to decide as a fan base, as a Man United fan, because ultimately me and LB don't really care, do we, right? We don't support the club. But if you're looking at this football-wise, right, I hope you stay in the mud because obviously I can't stand Man United, right? But if you look at it from a Man United perspective as a fan base, you've got two options. Either Erik Ten Hag needs a structure ahead of him before we can actually properly work him out. And we've seen enough on the pitch to think, actually, this guy's got something about him. And I think he deserves another chance with a better structure ahead of him. That's number one. Or number two is this guy's clueless and hasn't got a clue. And even with a structure ahead of him, we can do better. And I don't know how any Man United fan can't pick the latter, because I have seen nothing on the pitch in almost 2 years that you've got any form of style of play. I haven't seen him improve any of the players that are out there. I haven't seen any mentality shift in the players to think, actually, this guy's got them really drilled and understood that they don't muck around underneath him. And could you do better than Ten Hag in terms of a manager? Absolutely. But what I will say, I don't think the fans should be giving him a lot of stick in terms of the players that he's brought in, because he's not a scout, right? That to me lies purely with the people ahead of him, because he can say, look, I can bring in the players that I think are going to do the business for me, that did well for me in Ajax. But that to me should not be go on then, give it a go and see how you get on with.
Nah, but I disagree with that, though, Potsy. I disagree. I understand what you're saying about there should be someone above him overseeing what he's doing. But he's gone
Absolutely,
from Ajax.
there should be.
No. But you can't tell me. He's gone from Ajax to Manchester United and then thought that, Anthony could do a job at Manchester United. Malacia could do a job. I think he was at Feyenoord or something at Manchester United. Like, he signed the players, bro.
So you think it's okay for a football club to give a manager all the say in who he signs? Like, you go and sign you, we're not going to give you any help at all. You go and scout these players. He's not a scout, bro. He's not a scout. That's mad.
No, but he's still a football man. He's still a football man, bro.
Is he though? Is he though?
I am sitting on the fence here. I agree with both of you in terms of where you're coming from. Ten Hag has picked bad players and deserves criticism. But ultimately, I agree with Dan that we should never have allowed that to be the case, because
100%.
Even Pep and Klopp don't pick all of their own players. They have a lot of say. And ironically, you speak to most Liverpool fans, most of Klopp's picks haven't been as good as the Edwards picks. Edwards and co pick much better players, according to a lot of Liverpool fans, than Klopp has done. And I think that's absolutely key here. Look, I think he's gone and had done for a while. I understand that Man United fans want to defend him. And look, I was a little bit proud of him today when he was sort of pushing back at the media, because I do think the media's 2-day pile-on with Anthony cupping his ears and the way it's been a bit excessive. And what I mean by that is I've actually saw one journalist say this is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen from a Premier League football club. And I thought to myself, well, that isn't true, is it? We've seen some football clubs wear T-shirts defending racism. So let's not go over the top when it comes to what's the most embarrassing thing a football club in England has done. It was turned out that some of our big clubs in England were covering up paedophilia for 30 or 40 years. So let's not pretend that getting through on penalties in the FA Cup is the most embarrassing moment in English football history. Let's just slow it down a bit. But he's got to go. And nobody that I've seen defending him has yet to give a reason why he should stay. And all the usual shit comes out. But the players, most of these players have got to go as well. And they will over the course of time. The board needs to go. It's a brand new football decision-making board that's coming into the football club. Every single element needs to change. It's not about one or the other or this low-hanging fruit. Sorry to get nasty here, but this low-hanging fruit bullshit that I see from so many content creators. Sell him and we're fixed. Sack him and we'll be back. All of them have been wrong for the past 10 years. And I've said it every single time we've sacked a manager. Unless deep-rooted change is made at the top, nothing is going to improve. And that's why I get a lot of shit now from people online, because they're starting to realize, maybe it's not just me, Terry, Neeks, KJ, so many of us for years, Indiana, if you're watching, Canadian Cam, we've all sat there and said it. Like, I remember doing an Ollie out debate once, and we all just sat there and said to the Ollie outers, do you really think we're going to get any better if we don't change anything at board level? Yeah, we've got a squad that can win the league. Look where we are now. All the Ollie outers were wrong because they thought that was the problem, and it wasn't. But what I love about Ineos and what you said that's so true, Lewis, is there's even an article today which people are twisting and they're looking at it as a negative. And I read it and it's music to my ears. This is a segment from it where it says that Man United under Ineos realize they cannot swing wildly from one system to another just to fit a coach. And certainly not when they are yet to begin the process of gradually unpicking a Frankenstein squad. And there are Man United fans going, this just shows they're going to scrimp and scrape. We're going to end up with a crap manager. No, they're literally saying that they need to fixate on a style of football and pick managers that suit it. But we have to be patient and understand that we have to undo the mess before we create a good squad. And that's why some of the elite level managers, they may not even be attractive for us. If you walk up to Zidane and go, look, it's going to take 3 years to build the squad, and he goes, I'm not up for that, you walk away from him as well. Because if you bring someone in under false pretenses, it will fail. And that is what we've done wrong for the last 10 years. The proof's in the pudding, and it always will be. But everything so far I've seen and heard from Ineos has been, again, it's about 95% of the stuff I've been spouting for a decade. What we need to fix, how long it's going to take, patience is needed, and we might need to start with the Graham Potter. Not because I think Ineos go, he's the best in the world for us, but maybe Graham Potter is at the right stage of his career where he'll individually tolerate the beginning of this, what could be a very painful beginning to a rebuild where you strip the team out. And I was trying to explain this to United fans in a group chat the other day, and honestly, it was like I was talking to a Martian. They're like, would you get rid of Varane in front of Maguire? And I said, not in terms of ability, no. But if Varane doesn't want to be at the club anymore and Maguire does, you start a rebuild by the first players you get rid of are players that don't want to be there. That's the first thing you do. Over ability, it's players that don't want to be there or players that are problematic. That's first point of call. You could be very lucky and cross-pollinate, and it could be people that don't want to be there and they lack the technical ability, and that's great. But that's the first thing they're going to do, because they're not going to get rid of 23 players in one summer. So you have to prioritize who actually wants to be here and who's going to work hard for the new manager, who's going to help us implement this new style and give it 100%, and who doesn't. But their brains can't compute. They're like, no, we just need to go and buy 3 or 4 top-class players, get a top-class manager, and we'll be back.
Yeah,
so,
no. The squad is not. The squad is not at the level required to do that. You know, a lot of people like to use this phrase, "Go get a win now manager." Yeah. Everyone, I don't know if you saw this 5 years ago, but everyone likes to talk about this win now manager thing. There's no point in getting a win now manager unless you've got a squad that can win now.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
People say, oh, what would Pep Guardiola do if you throw him into Rotherham?
Struggle.
Probably not win the Champions League. Probably wouldn't win the Premier League because you don't have the squad. Pep Guardiola always says, it's not me, it's the players that win the leagues. People just ignore that. Manchester United, over the last decade, have been run into the ground so badly. And actually, I think the only reason that some fans are not getting how bad it is because, as I've always said, because of the amount of money you spent, you've actually carried on winning trophies over the years. You know what I mean? You've won a Carabao Cup here, a Europa League there, an FA Cup here. But you're always going to do that when you're spending £1 billion. And I'm not saying that to have a dig. That's just a fact.
Yes,
but ultimately, that squad is absolutely shambolic. And I agree with you. The first players I'd be getting rid of is the big hitters and the older players. Yeah, so Casemiro, get rid of him. Get rid of the likes of Varane. Obviously, Sancho's probably done and dusted now, so he needs to go. And actually, someone like Maguire, who, you know what? I've got to say, right, this guy's been mean to hell and back over the last years, yeah, since he joined Manchester United. This guy has had it rough. Every single fan in the world has cooked this guy one way or another. And don't say you've not, you have. He's been a bad signing for him. But you know what? He's always out there training. He's always the one that's going out there putting a shift in. Now, I won't want him at my club, and I'm sure Dan won't want him at his club. You know what I mean? He's not good enough. But you know, at least he's actually trying. There's some players that play for United, and you can just tell they can't be asked. The likes of Rashford. Oh, mate, he needs to go. Yeah, he's had his time. Bruno's up for debate. Personally, if it was me, I'd get rid of him as well, just because I think he's a toxic character to have around the squad. And I think you guys need to think about the bigger picture, you know, and you need to come together. And I don't think you're going to be able to do that if he's there, because there's too many United fans that want him out and start again. But as you said, this isn't going to happen overnight. United are not going to be challenging for the Premier League, in my opinion, for at least 3 years. At least 3 years, especially if Pep and Arteta stay at Arsenal and City, because Arsenal and City are ready now and they're built. United are in the gutter, mate.
I agree. I agree in terms of, I would say at least 3 years. If we were able to fast track that and it happened quicker, then great. But that's where my expectations lie. This is a comment from Mark. He says, wait. Are we not in a rebuild? So we are starting over. Good luck, United fans, being patient with another manager. But we are not in a rebuild, Mark. This is, I mean this with the biggest respect. And please, I very rarely say this, but please take what I'm saying as the truth. We never started a rebuild under any of these managers. The club, as in Woodward and Co., lied to us. How do we know? Because the same football decision makers were there. There was no club plan on how to play football. We've done the same thing 5 managers running. We've tried the Fergie approach of letting the manager run and control the club. It doesn't work anymore. Managers are not even trained and brought up through the ranks of football to be managers of football clubs. They're developed to be head coaches at football clubs. There's a fundamental difference between those roles. Pep and Klopp are probably the 2 best managers in the world. Ancelotti as well. Ancelotti is the only one of them I would probably trust running a club because he's from that generation. I wouldn't let Klopp run a football club. I'd let him manage the team. I wouldn't let him run the football club. It's not what he's trained to do. We have not had a rebuild at Man United in the last decade. It's all been false promises and lies. This is the first official one the club has ever had. Facts.